is full of shift.
We started writing a little ditty. That's a hot word right now.
Ditty,
It's
yeah.
probably a little appropriate for me to say that.
Starting off spicy.
That's actually how we're going to start this episode. What are your thoughts?
We were prepping episodes. Nico kept being like, I really want to talk about Diddy. I'm like, no.
I like
And
really
you
do
keep
want to talk
finding
about
ways to bring it in. It's not the show.
Let's get freaky.
it. This is full of shift. Yeah, should we just freak off here right now?
Honestly, why not? I bought
Honestly,
the baby Lou.
yeah.
Let's go.
I went to Costco right before this.
Yeah.
Did you see that Costco came out and said, actually, we don't sell baby oil?
What the fuck?
They didn't want to get involved.
That's so fucked up. It's kind of
Can we cuss on
racist,
this?
honestly.
Of
Oh,
course.
sorry.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Of course. Hey, y'all. My name is Nico Tortorella.
I'm Bethany C. Myers.
And we have some very special people with us
the
today.
specialist people with
Yeah.
us.
We've talked about them, I feel like, a handful of times already on the show.
Definitely.
But we have Tay and Zay.
Hello.
Who are you guys?
Oh boy. Go ahead.
Who are we?
It's such a loaded question.
Bethany
Do
hates
not
this
think
question.
I hate this question.
But I love it. So we're going to ask it.
Can
Who are you?
Can we answer it any way we want?
Anyway, that's the whole
Yeah.
point of the question.
I think I'll let you go first.
We are some proud new residents of Boynton Beach, South Florida.
Hey.
Hey.
Exactly. Moved down from lovely Hudson County, New Jersey,
Yep.
a few months after Nico and Bethany, and we are starting a new business and
We've
starting
started
a
a
new
new
life.
business.
We started a new business. We started a new life.
A new life. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're also a mother, a father.
Oh yeah, those things too.
Those
Friends.
things?
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Where are you from, Tay?
I'm from Indiana, so I'm also a Midwest girly.
Shout out
Hey.
Indiana. Zay?
I'm from Philly, Philadelphia.
But
People,
y'all have been in the New York tri-state area
Yeah.
before here for how long?
I was there for a little over 10 years. Went to Parsons
Okay.
for design school and kind of built my career in the city. And then you were there a little, not as long, but
a little less.
Yeah.
I'm younger than her.
Yeah,
She robbed the cradle with me.
by a month.
Exactly.
What were you-
How much younger are you than her?
Literally
2
weeks.
months.
Weeks.
No, 2 months.
Nico's 2 years
2
younger
months,
than
okay.
me.
Yeah, exactly. You know.
Round
Yeah.
of cradles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Diddy.
I like those mature boys.
Zay, what were you doing in New York?
Everything and anything. I came there after I graduated from college up in Massachusetts. Small school called Harvard. Maybe you've heard of it. No, I didn't go to Harvard. But I worked in finance, in finance, for 8 years at Goldman Sachs as a derivatives trader.
Heavy.
So yeah.
So that, amongst other things, we're also doing a lot of improv,
Oh
stand
yeah.
up,
Yeah.
writers groups.
Do you
Yeah.
want to perform some improv with us? I
Let's
actually have a
go.
little
Yeah.
plan for
That's
us
what,
to do
that's
a
what I thought.
skit
That's what I
later.
thought this was.
We'll
yeah.
save it for the bonus episode.
Podcast is improv.
Yeah,
Kinda.
totally.
Yeah, you could put like a little sticker of like improv under like a box with the stick holding up, and I would just get like all in there and get trapped.
There you go.
So,
Just
that's
say
all you
yes.
gotta say. That's all
Yeah.
you gotta say.
And
So.
Tay, what were you doing?
Brand design. So I started at a kind of boutique agency that did fashion, but also branding. So fashion advertising and branding. Moved on to a different place that did a lot of branding for big, like American clients. Bud Light, Dunkin', Burger King, lots of CPG and beer. And then the last place I worked was a smaller studio, kind of coming up. They did a lot of tech, a lot of esports, honestly, a lot of different stuff.
I feel like I have to say this right now.
Yeah.
Tay has played such a huge role in the designing and branding of Full of Shift.
It's my first project after becoming a mom.
And for real though, like
It's so
it's
good.
been so cool to watch you work too. And just like all of us flow together.
Yes.
You're so good at what you do. And we are so grateful for the help that you've offered for us in this platform.
You can
And-
always tell someone's good when like Tay will be like, yeah, I think like these colors. And I got the colors and I was like, what the hell? And then she put them in the thing and it was like, I was like, oh, right. Like there's something about the vision that you have and then watching it come to life. And it's been really, really cool to see.
Really cool.
Well,
Because
thank
we're
you.
friends on such like a mom level. And then when we've gotten to like see each other's outside
Yeah.
world, it's cool to see.
Well, thank you. That's very nice. It also was really awesome that you guys even allowed me to do the branding because I hadn't worked in a year. And I had a lot of insecurity around, do I still have it, whatever it is. And like, that's any creative. I'm sure both of you know that like you always have this kind of imposter syndrome just lurking in the back. And sometimes it comes up more than others. But yeah, after taking a year off, I had that feeling really heavily. And getting back into this was like, okay, I still know what I'm doing. I feel more confident in like my skill level than I did before I did the project. So, and it's also like, yeah, it is fun to show you guys who I am on a different level. I've had that with both of you. Like, I mean, I didn't even know like who you were really as an actor. Yeah. And you start telling me about all these projects. It's like, oh, wow, now I get to like unlock this whole nother side of Nico. Or when you cut your hair. Yeah. And then it's like the same thing. Like when you sent me the Become project and I like did like a whole routine, I was like, oh my God, this is like a whole nother side of Bethany. And it's like, now you're pregnant. I get that side. We're like, we're unlocking all these chapters that we didn't know about each other.
Yeah, it's really special.
Yeah.
It is
and like totally unexpected too, just like how we all came into each other's lives.
Right.
Well,
it's an interesting part of making friends that
as adults.
that is new, right, as adults, but as parents.
Yeah, for sure.
Right, and like making parent friends because the first thing you connect on is your kids and this parenthood and like you're there. And then you start to branch out. And that obviously didn't happen before having kids. You connect through work or through hobbies or, and it's like it's a different way to connect.
Well, there's like 3 things that need to be in line for parents to connect with kids, right? You're gonna like live close to each other, right? And then your kids have to be like the age difference in your kids, or your kids the same age. And also, do you actually like each other?
Yeah, that's
right?
a big one.
Like to find people that all 3 of those are in line is so hard.
Those are the 3 big factors. And you never get all 3.
No.
But we got all 3.
We got all 3.
And we didn't think we were getting all 3 at the top. So let's just
we have to talk about how we
take it
met.
back for a second. Wait, hold on. I do want to say one thing about the imposter syndrome that you brought up. It's literally in the branding of the show, full of shit, full of shift. So like we get it.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Okay, how we met.
Okay. So we home birthed with the same midwives in New Jersey.
Yeah. Don't forget about the boys.
We were there too.
Yeah, we were there.
They pushed just as hard as we
boys
pushed.
did
I might
the
have pushed a
exact
little
same
harder,
amount.
to be honest with you.
I said we.
But you went like this.
Yeah.
We all felt it.
All right.
No, it's fine. No, the first time that we even heard about you guys, all of our midwives, said to us, oh, you guys need to meet our other clients.
We had already had our baby.
Yes.
We had our baby in March. You all had your baby May 24th. Subsequently, my birthday.
Yes.
And the midwife's birthday,
We
which
had a
is
daughter.
also cool.
Y'all had a son, little Rex-Ray.
So they texted us after our baby was already born. Well, I guess yours was too, but whatever. You guys were still like with them. You probably heard about it in person.
Yeah, our last visit with them was when, they pitched. You
The
guys
hard
want some
pitch.
friends?
Yeah.
Because we kept coming to them being like, you guys got to give us some. We knew
Do like
no
a meetup.
one
Yeah.
that was a parent. We were like,
especially home birth parents.
yes,
Especially.
we were like, who do you know? Like we were just very not in the circle of parent anything. So
None of
they
our
were
friends had kids.
right. They were like, you guys really need to meet. And I'll be honest, I think you were on the same page, but I was a bit skeptical. Like, not when I walked in, but I was just like, how often do you really go on like a blind friend date?
Oh,
Right.
And it works.
And it clicks, yeah.
Yeah.
Y'all met at a coffee shop in Jersey City. We loaded up the car with the baby and you.
You dropped me off.
Yeah, I dropped you off.
Yeah.
We're like circling the coffee shop.
Well, no, I went to the wrong coffee shop
Because
first.
Kilmer couldn't like go like, I was like, there's no way I can drive there by myself because she was having panic attacks
Right.
in the car.
'Cause he was like a newborn when
Yeah,
you did
he
that.
was
Yeah.
so young.
Yeah. And y'all lived in Jersey City. We lived in Weehawken, so it was close, right?
We found like
And
a weird middle point,
Yeah.
a weird coffee shop.
Mhm.
Like, yeah, everything about it was kind of weird, but then we connected.
I remember going into the coffee shop and Rex needed to nurse and you just pulled out your boob like so cash, but not even like kind of like you were just like you just took your top off.
I love it.
And I was like, oh, I love her.
You're in. Yeah, you were in.
I love her so much.
See, that's so funny. I don't even remember doing that.
I just remember being like,
I love that
yeah.
that's like something you like held on to from the meeting, you know?
Yeah, a girl taking her top off in the show.
love it first
Just
bit.
an average Tuesday.
Yeah, exactly. But the like sense of relief coming to pick you up and the joy that you had just being able to talk to someone who like had a similar experience but also with the same people was so special. It was really cool.
Agreed.
Yeah. And y'all like started a little text relationship, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you guys came over for the first time.
Yeah.
And we cooked a bunch of food.
We sat outside. We have so many pics.
Yeah, so many pics.
Isn't that the day?
Of us with our tops off on your porch. Nursing.
Yeah, exactly. Zay, what was your first impression of us?
I had no clue. I mean, you came back from that coffee date and you were really hyped up.
Yeah.
And I was like, cool. And I don't know, because it's also like on that vibe when you're talking about like families like linking up, it's not, like one set could vibe or could really
let's be honest,
mesh well.
I was kind of like making a lot of mom friends. Like where we lived in Jersey was very different from where you lived. And there was like a mom's group. Like we would walk outside and they would be like, you literally know every mom on the block because everyone was just walking around. And if you had a baby within a few weeks of each other, you knew the people.
Right.
So it's like, to Zay, it's like, oh, yeah, another mom friend that Taylor's made.
Yeah. And I remember like us driving up and we have like this old beat up, like literally beat to shit 2013 Corolla. I don't even know if it had a bumper at the time.
No, probably not.
It had bumper stickers.
And like, we drive up and I'm like, wait, what's the address? And we like pull up on this gigantic house. I'm like, what?
Like,
what the fuck
Zay
is
was
going
like,
on?
Tay, what the fuck? I thought we were going to like a brownstone backyard barbecue.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I don't know. She does like a fitness thing and her husband's an actor. At this point, like, I think you had sent me your birth story. So I started to put the pieces together because like your post on Instagram you sent me, it's like, oh, okay, this bitch has a following.
Yeah.
Holy shit. And then I was like, okay, her husband's an actor. Click on you. Like, oh, okay, this guy is a real actor, Like you hear like, oh, my husband's an actor. It's New York, like, okay. But yeah, at that point, I kind of knew like, oh, okay, I'm starting to get like a bigger picture of who these people are. But I hadn't really filled Zay in all the way.
Right.
Yeah, no, she always keeps me in the dark.
Yeah.
I like it.
It's good surprises.
Good. Yeah, I don't need to know too much. Really.
Yeah.
But then we linked up. Obviously, like we clicked automatically, I think, on the same page with like parenting philosophy with everything.
Yeah.
Which was great. And then like we would just start, talking about crazy shit we did. Like, I don't know, like Carnivore Jan, and you guys like, oh yeah, we were like raw vegans for like a time. And like just like bullshit. I was like, you know what? I like these guys.
Eccentric folks.
Yeah.
It's rare that like we meet people that like we can spar with in a way. No, for real though, that like can keep up.
Yeah.
Not that we're like, these like really crazy people, but energetically, like it was just a match from the top.
That was something I noticed about you right away is in the other people we had kind of had come over or tried to like spark up friendships with or different couples, I felt your wall kind of go up, not closed off, but and I don't mean this in a bad way. I mean in a good way.
Yeah.
But like there's like a performative side, like that laugh that you have that's like not real.
I know which one you're talking about.
I'm trying to paint the picture for everyone though. Like there's this piece where I know you're not able to like really be you because you don't have that feeling of comfort.
Well, that's really what it was. I felt like the four of us got together and we could all immediately be ourselves.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
maybe it took you like a second longer than the rest of us.
I don't know. When we left, like we got in the car and Zay was like, I like them.
Nice.
Maybe not outwardly like super like comfortable yet, but we just on the way home, we talked about this, and I think we've all talked about it since, but like such a common thread between the four of us is when we do something, we go all in.
All the fucking
and
way.
like we would, I could probably say we would never be raw vegans.
Yeah.
But like the fact that you guys did that is something we can relate to because like we would go all in on something else and like you guys, we've talked about this 1,000 times, but take what you want from something, what you learned, not just want, and you move on to the next thing and you grow and build. I mean,
right, exactly.
And like, that's just something that we can relate to. Like Zay and I used to say, well, my friend Abby actually used to say, chaos is a virtue. And that like describes your guys' whole relationship. And we were like, well, we're not chaotic. Yeah. Like we're doing things with intention, but we're doing it with like all our energy pointed at the thing that we're interested in.
It's the most beautiful way to do anything. Yeah. I mean, so many people just walk through all of life just like not putting all of themselves into shit. And I don't know, it's so worth it. And early on, I think we had already been coming down to Florida to look at places. So we were like a little nervous about making friends here.
I remember telling you, I was like, fuck, we just met people that we really like.
And now we're leaving.
And we're going to Florida and we should tell them that we're going to Florida.
When you like start dating someone new, like, I'm actually not here for very long. So
that's the same nerves that I had. And I very distinctly, I was really nervous about it. Yeah. Because also when we had been telling people that we were moving to Florida.
Especially in New York.
It
was like, ew.
We were getting a lot of shit for it. And everybody was like, okay. Yeah. And it was just like not a conversation that I was enjoying having. And we had just made new friends and I didn't really want to go there. So I remember like being in the kitchen and being, yeah, guys, we're actually like, we think we're moving to Florida. And Tay was like, us too. She's like, I love Florida. And I was like, me too.
We were both like, slutty in Florida. Slutty
in Florida. Exactly.
I go, I'm so much hotter in Florida. She was like, I know. Look at this picture of me. Like, we were so in.
Yeah. And we left months later. And you guys actually like came and.
Well, you all talk about where, because you weren't just thinking about Florida. Florida was like kind of.
No, we had a short
Tennessee.
List. Yeah. Tennessee. Well, yeah, we were looking.
Texas, right?
Well, not really.
Texas wasn't really on.
It was Tennessee. The short list, I think, was probably Tennessee, Philly, Florida.
Right. Yeah, maybe Indiana.
Yeah, we toyed around with that. I mean, I'm from Indy. You're from Philly, so that's where that comes from. Right. Tennessee. I've got some friends in Kentucky. I've got a friend in Tennessee, kind of close to Indiana. So we're like, okay, maybe there.
Right.
We like hiking, so we're like, there's mountains.
Yeah.
And was it that you guys knew that you wanted to move, or you were just like, if we were to move, these are the 3 places, or what was kind of the, like, did you have a baby and know that you didn't want to be where you were?
Right. Yeah, that's the question.
Yeah, we had wanted to be out of New York for like a decent amount of time. I mean, I think
really since we came back from Philly.
Yeah. Yeah, like we went down to Philly for a variety of reasons.
During COVID, right?
During COVID, one of them, like probably the main one, was my father was really sick, and we moved back to be closer with him. He's fortunately doing a lot better right now. But we got back, and we were just in a different stage of our lives, you know.
Married, we left not married, came back married.
Yeah, exactly.
Ready to have a baby.
Yeah, ready to have a baby.
How long did y'all know each other before you got married?
4, 3, 4.
Something like
4, 3, 3, 4.
Yeah, I mean, it was either 3 or 4 years, but like Zay and I had actually dated
twice. Before.
Oh, really?
Yeah. We had gone out like 5 times, and that ended when Zay went to a Kanye concert the night before our date and was falling asleep at a restaurant called Sexy Taco Dirty Cash. So then I ghosted him after that.
Yeah.
And then found him on a different app.
Yeah, she was catfishing me on Grindr.
Years later.
Catfishing
That's right, I remember the story.
No, I'm joking. I'm yeah, all right. So it was my birthday. We were out in Bushwick, and I had been overserved.
Yeah.
A bit, and
me just a little bit.
Just a little bit. It's weird because we were at literally 2 different street parties things, like literally like blocks away from each other, but
not out together.
Not out together.
We both out in the same
didn't
area
even see each other. Yeah,
and on the apps.
And I'm on Hinge, and I swipe right, and it's her, and automatically connects, and she just goes, well, look who it is.
It's such a Tay.
Yeah,
there's a Tay text right there.
And I could not put together like 5 words, so I just go dinner tomorrow ? And
I was like, bold. Like, he just wants to go out with me. Like, no talking. Okay. I was like so turned on by that.
Nice.
And then it just, for whatever reason, it didn't click the first time. Really, like we were very physically attracted to each other the first round, and just couldn't get there emotionally. And the second time, it was just a completely different story.
Yeah.
Similar to us.
The best kind of relationships are the ones that I think come together and apart and back together again.
Totally.
Or like go through some shit and still get together. Because like marriage is hard, you know? It's like, it's a lot of shit. Like you need to go through that before.
I totally agree. Because now it's like anytime there's any sort of like just challenge in our marriage, like in previous relationships, I'd be like, oh, this is it. This might be it. Flood of anxiety. Now it's like, no, this is it.
Right.
Like no matter what, you know?
Yeah. I mean, even getting like married, it was like very much like, I don't know, like in New York, there's like this milieu of where people just sort of date for, you know, years and just hang around each other.
Yeah.
And it was just like, at the time, you know, well, I asked you to marry me.
Sure.
Yeah. You know what I mean? But you were surprised. Like,
so surprised.
Oh, really? You didn't see it coming?
No, we didn't talk. Well, we talked about we wanted to get married.
Yeah.
But
we were living
and
together.
having kids. You had both had that conversation.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, at the beginning of our relationship, Zay was like, I don't know if I want them, maybe. And it was maybe month 3, and we were walking around Greenpoint, and I was like, well, if you don't want them, then this won't work.
Right.
And he was like, oh.
All right.
Because that was something I knew I wanted from forever.
Yeah.
Right.
But no, the actual proposal, like I drunkenly, where were we at? Mexico, a wedding.
Yeah.
During COVID. And I drunkenly was like, whenever you want to get married to me, I'm ready. And he took that like one drunken comment and like the next month went and designed a ring, got it made, and
Your
proposed
ring
to me
is
within like
so beautiful.
Your ring
too.
is amazing.
You guys did such an incredible job.
actually one of my
I have
favorite
nothing to do
wedding
with
rings.
it.
Well, you prompted it.
I mean, I prompted, hey, why don't you marry me?
Yeah.
But no, Zay did this all on his own. 2-stone ring before they got super popular.
That was the first thing that you told me about Zay, was that he designed that ring.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, sick. We're going to be friends.
Yeah. And the smaller diamond is your great-grandmother's?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So, like, I'm very sentimental, and that means a lot to me.
She wants it back, by the way.
But it's, like, a ring that I, like, you know, I, of course, like most women, have a folder on my Instagram full of jewelry, mostly engagement rings.
Yeah.
And this ring
You got one of those, babe? Wait, hold on. Funny
I've never
enough,
even gotten an engagement ring.
when we all met, I was wearing a female engagement ring. Remember, I was wearing that big rock, and you were wearing a band. And then you were like, "What?" I noticed that like Nico was wearing a rock, and Bethany was wearing a band.
I've only ever had just a little gold band, and I got it because we went to wear on this
only
finger.
Ever had
Specifically
just
for
a
this
little
never gotten a
gold
diamond.
band?
I have other, don't get me wrong, I have other jewel. I mean, I can't wear any rings right now because sausage fingers. But yes, and the only reason this is how I got the gold band. We went to your cousin's wedding.
Yes.
We were recently married. I wasn't wearing any ring. We weren't wearing any wedding rings when we first got married because we were too cool or something. And we went to your grandma and we were like, hey, we need a band to wear to this wedding. And so she pulls out her bottom clothes drawer all the way out.
bed,
and then underneath hidden is bags of gold.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think you stole it. I don't even think she wanted to give it to me.
No, she did. She wanted to give you it.
Maybe that one. Maybe you snuck a few other things in your pocket. And that was how I got my now wedding ring.
Cool story, babe.
She's like, here.
Well, it's kind of messed up because I know how much you love jewelry. So
Yeah, but jewelry has always
Tay's such
been
a girl's girl.
It's just a different language in my family. It's not like jewelry isn't treated as this like really special thing that only happens every once in a while. There was so much jewelry flowing between all of us, and we would all share it all. It was just like it was just like a different currency.
I mean, to
in
be
our
fair,
house.
I've like gotten on board. The only thing I would love to do is take some of the family jewelry and create a new ring.
We will.
Yeah.
That has like a 3-9 just to pass on, you know?
All the things. Yes. At what point did y'all really make the decision like,
Glad we got
yes,
through that.
we're moving to Florida?
that's a very complex question that I think you should take.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, maybe a couple weeks before we moved.
No, it was actually crazy. It's tied to the business conversation.
Yeah.
It ties to the work. I mean, we were trying every which way.
We ruled out Tennessee and we ruled out Philadelphia.
Yeah.
And why did we rule those out?
Tennessee, we just didn't feel a good connection with. I mean, we had more friends and like family and stuff like that down in Florida. We had my family in Philly, but it just wasn't. Swapping out New York for Philly just felt like swapping the witch for the devil.
And
in a lot
also,
of ways,
like,
what we were looking for.
At that point, we had decided we were going to buy a business. We didn't know what business, but when we looked at Philadelphia and just like the greater Philadelphia area, like business sense wise, it wasn't like a growing economy like Florida was.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
And like, I think also for me, it was like, we are still young. We have one kid. Like, we are still in a position where we can do kind of whatever we want. And like, we just worked really, really hard for 10 years in this like ruthless city. And we have the financial means to like make a really bold move. Yeah. And what we really wanted was to move to Florida. So like, why would we not try that?
Right.
Yeah. Like to the point you were making earlier, it's like, we always try to just swing for the fences if we have an at bat, you know? Like, it's like, we only get one life and you can't afford not to. Right. So, yeah.
Time's the only thing we have and the only thing we don't.
Yeah.
Did we influence your Florida move at all?
I think it definitely made it easier. But I think like our dial was like pushing towards Florida.
Right.
Yeah.
From that first conversation when you were like, we're thinking about moving to Florida. I was like, oh, no way, us too.
Yeah.
Like, we wanted Florida then, but of course it made it like 1,000 times easier when it was like, oh, there's another young family we know that's going to be close enough if we move to Florida.
Yeah. Well, and just like spontaneity is contagious, you know? Like, you guys are clearly spontaneous folks, but to like see other people with kids doing it, it just is like, oh, yes, it's possible.
Yeah.
With everything. And I think like we've both have fed off each other in all of that.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Totally.
I remember you taking your trip to Tennessee and I was like, please don't like
it.
No, you weren't doing please don't. You were like, please don't like it.
I texted you, I was like, so it sucked, right?
How did having your son really change everything like that? I mean, it's obviously like a huge shift. What has that experience been like? I know it's kind of like a huge question, but how has it brought you guys closer? How has it like changed your ability to make these larger decisions?
Well, I think I can talk on the decision part. You know, I think it was like twofold. One, you sort of go, I mean, it changed a little bit when we got married because, you know, me, I'm 6'8", and whatever, I can probably get away with like navigating New York City in a lot of different ways than Taylor can.
Yeah, for sure.
But then, you know, you add a baby onto that and it's like, you know, you just your sense of what you want or will put up with being around, it just changes, you know?
Overnight.
Yeah, overnight. Like, you don't, you know, something might have been, oh, that's cool or quirky before, and it's like, get that shit away from me. Like, I don't need my baby to be around that.
You also just notice things that you didn't notice before. Like, you just, like, you, like, see more trash and you see more dirt. Yeah. Like, it's just, like, you just...
Crossing the street.
Yeah. Crossing the street. I mean,
I
was
like really anxious crossing the street.
Pollution. Like, you worry about like, what's the quality of the air here? What's the quality of the water? You know, like we didn't allow our son to go on the subway for like the first 9-10 months just because
I was like ready to be more lenient with that, and Zay was like, take a car.
I was saying that with you all the time.
Yeah.
I took her on the subway.
Just like take the bus. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah. And then I would say like the second thing is just, you know, when you have a kid, it kind of speaks to what, you know, I was talking about before, where if people are dating for like a long time, like they just keep dating and getting in that rhythm of the same thing. But you have a kid and it's such a tangible reminder of like time is passing.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh wow, he's so different.
He's always in a new phase.
He's in a new phase, and it's like, I'm not going to get that kid. I'm not going to get that same newborn back. I'm not going to get those first steps back. I'm not going to get those first words back.
Even routine, like you get in a routine that feels like, ooh, sustainable, and then he changes. The routine has to change, and then you're reminded again.
And so, like, you're like, if you're having thoughts of like, we need to make a change, it's a really tangible reminder, a really like potent reminder of like, we need to do this now.
Yeah.
You know, like we can't just dilly-dally and like have this be this thing that we're like, oh yeah, one day. Like if we are going to do this and like, you know, raise the kid we want or in the way we want, it needs to happen yesterday, you know?
Yeah. When we got our house in Weehawken, I felt like we had got such a family house.
Yeah.
And as soon as we had a baby, it was very clear that it was not. One was the amount of stairs. It was like 4 different levels and like really steep stairs.
Oh my God, 4 levels.
It was just
living in a mansion with my gold.
My diamond shoes are too tight because of my sausage feet. No, but if you're going to get house.
It wasn't practical for young
kids. Get it on a level. It wasn't smart for young kids.
Yeah.
And there was I really felt like the access to outside, it suddenly hit me that it wasn't, not only were we in an area that was cold more often, which I personally hate the cold.
You hate the cold.
Hate the cold.
I've been saying it for years. Why are we living here?
I know. I'm made to be in a tropical place.
But you were dead set on staying in New York for so long.
Okay, calm down over there.
I'm calm. I was just saying, you kept us there.
But then I had this little baby and I was even just the way the house was set up to get out, there, yards to play in. You know, it was just a different, I knew very quickly that I wanted something different for raising my kid and more of them being able to get their feet in the grass or in the sand or in the dirt or that I know is something that we've really connected on.
Yeah.
And there's just more ability for that where we are right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, to choose your own path here.
Yeah.
I think too, I want to answer your question also on an individual level.
Yeah.
Because I think in New York City, I think for better, for real, is a very individual place. Everyone's very focused on personal individual growth.
Yes.
And my friends that are still there, I really admire that about them. They take on new hobbies. They're always learning. They're pushing themselves, but it's very individual. And I think who I am as an individual just completely changed overnight. And that piece of me that was tied to New York being very much about myself was kind of broken because then it was not about just me anymore or just me and Zay.
Right.
It was about our family. And my career was one of the biggest things tying me back to the city. I mean, at one point, we kind of wanted to stay in Philly when we moved there for 7 months. And I had brought it up to my employer and they were like, if you don't come back, you don't have a job here. And so we came back for work. I mean, Zay was in the same position with his job. And so our careers were really tying us to New York. And then I had this baby and I was like, what? It's not important like I thought it was anymore. It was to me for a very long time, but it was almost immediately this part of my identity just kind of dropped. And
because you stopped working when in your pregnancy?
Well, I stopped working at 36 and 6.
So right there at the end, yeah.
And with the intention, I would have 3 weeks at least to, have some time.
Right.
But he was born 4 days later. So, and that's exactly who he is today.
And you never went back.
And I never went back.
Yeah.
And I every time it became time for me to go back. I say every time because my employer was awesome. They are, why am I losing words? European. Thank you.
Netherlands or something?
No, the UK. They're British.
Yeah.
It's a British company. There we
Yes.
go. So they basically match maternity leave that you would get
Great.
if you worked that office.
You didn't live here.
If you didn't live here. So I had 6 months paid maternity leave.
Wow.
Unreal.
Wow.
And they were so understanding about everything at every point. And so when it came time to start talking about, okay, am I going to go back after 6 months? I talked to you about it. And we were having the same conversation with our husbands, I don't really want to go back to work. And it's
you
so
had just
crazy.
gotten rid of your business too, or we're in the process of it. Oh, you
Tay
had
and
me.
I were having these I would call Tay and be like, how do I tell Nico that
Yeah.
I want to stop working? Because that was a really big deal for us. That conversation was a big deal. You were struggling with wanting to go. Both of us were having this crisis of we've always been so driven in our work and
Driven. Yeah.
driven.
Yeah.
Yes. That individual success, that hustle, that having your own thing, that being the top was so important to us and a huge part of our identities.
Yeah.
And it was, for me, it was terrifying when I had a baby and I was like, I don't care.
Yeah.
That is such a stark, weird feeling. Not everyone has that.
No, it yo-yos back and forth too. I feel like it goes back and forth from oh, I don't care about that anymore to oh my God, if I don't have this, who am I?
Right.
Because you haven't really figured out your new identity yet. And I think like the thing that ties those two things together is what you really don't care about. It's not that I don't care about branding. I still really enjoy it. And like, I'm actually starting to take some freelance work on now after I got my first project done. But it's that I don't care about what other people think. And so like, I think like a lot of my career was driven by just what did everyone think about my success? Am I doing all the things? Am I getting to like the director level fast enough? Am I working on the biggest and the coolest brands? Am I making the best work? And like, as a creative, that's a very subjective question, and like a career path's a very suggestive thing. It's like everyone has a different answer for that. And so that's kind of again where that like imposter syndrome, whatever comes up, and you're like, am I doing it right? And then you have a baby and you're like, oh, I know what's right for my baby.
Right.
And you're just like so sure of the decisions you make for your baby and your family most of the time. And so I just kind of like didn't care what people thought anymore. And like the only thing I knew is like this baby is only 6 months old. Like 6 months sounded like a long time before I had the baby. And now that I'm here, this thing is so vulnerable and I am enjoying this so much. I don't want to go back.
I don't want to spend an hour away from them.
Right.
Yeah.
I felt very much like I was the mother to my business, and I was the mother of like become. And when I had a baby, I was like, oh, I can't be your mother anymore because I have a baby that I'm now the mother of. And those two were really clashing with one another. But the best thing about doing this podcast with you is, once again, finding skill sets and like feeling in charge, like
that
doing
are in
your
line
social, like
with
doing
our life right now too.
and it matches. Exactly. It matches having kids.
I mean, all four of us really have had this cracking open of sorts with our work.
Well, Zay really has the
Probably the
crack of all of the crack.
I've got the biggest
Zay
crack.
has the
Biggest crack on this table.
Long crack Zay. Long crack Zay.
Before we get into like the full transition and talk about this business that y'all have built here, I want to talk some just about like the approach that you guys had on finding what the next thing was, because you like strategically really like had a plan for outreach, and we were both really impressed with your ability to do that, all of that.
Yes, because as much as we're both like, as couples, like go all in and do the thing, I think Nico and I are a little bit like
throwing shit at a wall. Yeah.
This feels good. Let's do that. And you guys are like, let's make an Excel sheet.
Yeah.
Like,
that's Zay. Okay. And to be fair, we had a spaghetti at the wall month or two. Like we had this big, remember the big Post-it note we had?
Yeah, we did.
It was like Zay went to Staples and bought like the biggest Post-it note. Like, and we sat, like put it on our wall and we just like brainstormed. We were like, do we start a parenting blog? Do we start like, do we have an urban homestead? Like what are we gonna, like, what are we interested in? Like we had all these different verticals of like things that interest us, our lifestyle we wanted, like in order to raise our family in the way we wanted. We had like all these words on the wall. And so it started like that. And it started from a very like, what are we interested in place?
Yeah, I love
and then
that.
we talked to a bunch of mentors and they were like, don't start a business, like a business like we ended up buying. That's something you're really passionate about. Like if you're going to do some sort of like trades commerce-based business, like you actually, the less passion about the subject, the better, because you can focus on growing the business and not like, you're not in the weeds. Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's when it really shifted to us searching to buy a business, which I think you should take that.
Yeah. To be, I guess, overly technical, like what we did was a self-funded search fund, which is like the new like hot term in like the MBA community. It's actually, I mean, it's not that new, but it's the last 5-10 years. It's really
new.
caught on.
It's new for this show.
Yeah.
what's that?
Originally, we were looking to buy a turnkey business, existing business, ideally one that had been around for 10, 15, 20 years or longer. And there's just like this wealth of older businesses, boomer-owned businesses. They called it the golden tsunami. It's like $10 trillion worth of business assets that are expected to change hands between now and 2030, or between 2020 and 2030. So we're almost halfway through there. And it's pretty much a buyer's market, even though it's getting more crowded, and so it's a great opportunity. And we really did a formal process. I mean, we hired an intern. We had an intern. Shout out Chris.
That's awesome.
We had an advisor as well for a point in time. We looked through literally like 300 different business listings. We signed 24 NDAs, did like deep due diligence.
Were you looking in multiple states at this point, or were you just looking in Florida when you did that search?
At the start, we were looking broadly, and then it narrowed down to Florida, cool. And then narrowed down to South Florida. And it's the issue with that is the expected time for like completion is anywhere from 18 months to 2 years to even longer potentially.
Really?
Yeah. And so we kept doing this, and deals would fall through and things would happen. And then the opportunity came up, but we can get into that a little bit later.
Yeah, before we get into exactly what this business is, y'all brought something for us to do. And I want to preface this, we've never read an ad on the show yet. And
we have an ad for the business.
We have an ad for this business that we're going to read with Tay and Zay right now. And it's just, it's cool that this is our first time doing this. It's kind of this like mirror of our friendship. And I don't know, I just think it's beautiful. So we're going to do this little ad right now, and then we're going to talk about this business.
What an honor to be the first ad on Full of Shift. And I bet the viewers will never guess what it's for.
Yeah, honestly.
I think everybody should guess what type of business you think they bought, just so you can see that you're wrong in a moment.
Make your bets. Make your bets. All right. This is Full of Shift. Vroom, vroom. Tick, tick, tick.
Honey, there's a spot right there by the front. Pull in.
Ugh, I missed it. The lines are completely faded. I hate when businesses don't keep up with paint striping maintenance.
Yeah, you know what? I thought this restaurant was supposed to be nice, but this parking lot looks like a dump.
Gross.
If only they had called 1-800-STRIPER. They keep South Florida's lots beautiful and bustling.
Did you know they paint sports courts, warehouses, and playgrounds too? They do it all.
No way. My friend is putting in a pickleball court. Tell her to call 1-800-STRIPER.
Oh my God. Wait, I saw that company on a billboard, and I thought it was a call line for strippers. 1-800-STRIPPER.
Oh my God, get your head out of the gutter and learn to spell. It's 1P, STRIPER, Striper.
1P, not 2 P's. Got it.
Call 1-800-STRIPER today for any of your paint striping needs. Parking lots, sports courts, warehouses, parking garage, playgrounds, and more. Keeping South Florida bustling and beautiful since 2024. That's 1-800-STRIPER or 561-584-8690. Again, that's 1-800-STRIPER or 561-584-8690.
Da, 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 da. A fucking paint striping business, you guys.
A paint striping business.
First of all, I love this. This was fantastic.
You guys need to save this.
Definitely.
We'll frame it.
Definitely frame it with the first dollar. Okay, let's talk about it. Let's get into it. Why paint striping?
So, all right, we were doing the search.
Yes.
And our investment thesis was we wanted a B2B focused business.
Which means what?
Business to business.
Great.
We wanted to service other businesses. A lot of reasons behind that. Didn't want to go after consumers, less cyclical, everybody
People
thinks.
suck. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Services-based business. Didn't want to be selling goods. And we wanted it in a fragmented industry. Did not want to be going up against like the Amazons and the Googles or, we didn't want to go up against the big boys. We're just small little guys,
And a fragmented industry gives you an opportunity for future consolidation.
Yeah,
Right.
and growth.
And growth,
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, she's the brains behind the operation, you
Of
can
course.
tell. And we had like a whole like profitability range and stuff like that. And like I said, we were prepared to go on this thing for 2 years, but we were like, we need to get the fuck out of here with New York.
Yeah.
And so the thought was, okay, could we go and do this business, which it's a franchise. It would be new. It wouldn't be something turnkey. But could we do that and build it into something that we would in theory buy in 18 months or 2 years from now in that time frame? And it offered a way for us to get a stepping stone down to Florida quicker and get going. And so we did a lot of due diligence, probably about 2 or 3 months of due diligence. Probably 2 months. 2 months. It's a little fast. But
the way you're describing this, it seems like it was like a 6-month process.
This was
It's like
weeks.
4 months
Yeah.
total.
Nico and I are both like,
Like, it was also like, I should say, like, this is kind of a relationship podcast. It was a really tough time in our marriage too.
Yeah,
like,
about it.
And like, I don't say tough as like bad. It was just a challenge.
Revealing.
So much communication. Like, there were times when like each of us were really frustrated at each other, and like just time was the thing that both of us were really struggling with. Like, we wanted to get out as soon as possible for the reasons you had said earlier. Like, it was just
Time
top
is
of mind.
fleeting, yes.
Yeah. But like, we were like, we don't want to be searching for a business for another 2 years, sitting in this glass box in the sky, claustrophobic in our 2-bedroom, 750 square foot apartment. Like, we are ready to go. So, it was hard. And then there was also, you know, I'm definitely I'm Taurus. So I'm like, definitely more, I like stability. And I'm the one that's always trying to make sure, like, I'm disaster planning, you know? And Zay is a little bit more ready to, like, just go and try something. And I think that's, like, why we work really well together as parents and just as partners. But this was kind of, it came to a head, those two different parts of us at times, because Zay was like, why are we questioning this? Let's go. Let's do this. We're ready. And
me.
Yeah. And it, like, for me, and I think it's also like a mothering energy, you want to protect everyone. You know, you want to create like a home that everyone feels safe in. And it felt like we were making this very unsafe move, even though I knew that's what I wanted to do. It was hard for me to like get there. And I did get there, but I was definitely getting there on like a 2-week to month delay.
And I think like it was good because, like, you know, there were certain things that we would kind of like shift back and forth from of like thinking about and being concerned about and worried about. I mean, another big factor was I wasn't really happy at my job.
Huge.
You know?
That's a huge, we should talk about that.
Like, and, you know, I don't want to paint this necessarily in a whatever light, but like I'd come to Goldman out of like really trying to escape a lot of financial insecurity and doing that, and, you know, thinking it would also lead to, like, naturally when I was, you know, a 21-year-old kid, that it would lead to like a larger sense of fulfillment, and it didn't. And, you know, Goldman Sachs is a great bank. Do your you know, corporate banking there. Go send them your orders. It was
second out on the show.
Exactly.
Goldman Sachs.
But it wasn't the right place for me, and it wasn't the thing that I wanted to do with my life.
Right.
Yeah.
And also, like, you were working full time when he was born, right? Did you get a paternal leave at all?
Oh yeah, I did. I did. And again, great paternity leave.
It was a really good paternity leave.
It was. I didn't utilize all of it, which is a whole nother story.
But you worked from home for like 4 weeks, like before you even went back fully. Like it was.
But then you did go back, and you were in the office 5 days a week.
5 days a week, yeah.
Like 10 hours a day or some shit, right? Like crazy.
8. I was pretty senior by then. There, I wasn't.
But still, it was a lot of time away.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think like that is a really important part of the conversation, because that again plays into the time thing. Like I'm watching my husband like really unhappy, and like you guys know who Zay is. Like he is all about like just growth and pushing himself, and there was more. You wanted more fulfillment, and you felt like you were going to do something every day, and you weren't necessarily growing. And it was hard as your wife to watch you be so unhappy in that role. And so I felt like, the time thing felt even more pressing.
Yeah. I mean, but this decision to leave finance and to start this B2B like this, like what was that all like for you?
I mean,
intense.
I don't know. Like, I've never really thought of like myself in any type of role. I mean, I used to play like college basketball, and right around then, because I hurt myself really badly, was when I really started, I think, expanding my view of like, oh, I'm just a basketball player, to like, oh, you know, I'm doing a lot of different things and have a lot of different pursuits. And so when I started in finance, I never thought of myself just as, you know, a finance bro or whatever. And so I wasn't super tied to the idea of Isaiah Baker, you know, Goldman Sachs.
Yeah.
I think, you know, it's a nice little like thing to have, like, you know, it feels good, right? To be like, oh, I work.
And also it's like a security blanket too.
It's definitely a security blanket. And that's been like a huge shift for us. But
and we both, I think, like in the past 4 months had our moments of, oh, fuck. Like, oh, fuck. Like, and it's so, I think what's so cool about those moments though is like, that's when you know you're with the right person.
Totally.
Because like I've had those moments and Zay's the one that's reminding me that we're going to be okay.
That's how it has to work.
And Zay's had those moments and it's the exact same on this side. You know, I'm the one. And like, it's just like that energy shift. Like you read the room and you're like, I have to be the one that's
what marriage is.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, only one person is allowed to freak out at a time.
Yeah.
That's what we've come to.
We've been having very similar experiences. You let go of Become. I haven't been on set. It's coming up to 2 years. Like we're building this brand new business, right?
And
1-800 full of shift.
And I mean the big thing that we haven't talked about and the mirror of our lives and how they've gone. Nico and I came to Florida.
Got pregnant the day we got
got pregnant the day we got here. You guys were like, I was like, please have another baby just so I don't have to be alone and pregnant and trying to navigate 2 kids. And you said no because we have are posted on the wall with the organization of our business and the things that need to happen.
Mothering and fathering this business right now.
Yeah, I said our business is our baby. Yeah. That's what I said.
Yeah.
Yes, our business is our baby.
But what do you know?
But Tay, I mean, guys,
we're having another baby.
You guys, when they called us, I mean, I screamed so loud, Kilmer started crying. Like she was terrified.
I thought I was going to go into labor. I was like bawling.
Oh my gosh.
I was so excited. I mean, we're so excited for you guys.
It's one of my favorite reactions from all the people we've told so far. It was like the most genuine, just like dumping of emotion over a FaceTime call.
So how far along are you right now?
I'm almost 9 weeks.
Nice.
I'm was showing at 8 weeks, so that's a cool thing about second time pregnancy.
You had an ultrasound.
Had an ultrasound yesterday.
More importantly, how are you both feeling?
Feeling good.
Yeah, feeling excited. You know,
very excited.
Yeah, it's something to like concretely look forward to.
Yeah,
again,
totally.
You know, like
so much unknown in our life right now.
Yeah,
but we know we're having a baby in 7 months.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so
I think
awesome.
like. We should just say, too, like, I'm sure many have had this experience. This is, like I said, not planned. Our business was our baby. And when I took the test, I, like, came out of the bathroom. Zay's just playing with Rex. I was like, Zay. He's, like, not listening to me. And I'm, like, about to hyperventilate. And I was like, it's positive. I took it just kind of to be like, let's just make sure. And then, it made sure that I was pregnant. And Zay just came over and grabbed my face. And he said, it's going to be okay. Again, another moment of like, I married the right person.
Oh,
Yeah, totally.
So awesome.
And it is. And I like that day was such a roller coaster of emotions. You know, of course I had to go to Starbucks, get a large coffee, pee on 2 more sticks, just to make sure. Because we were like, there's no way we're pregnant. It's not possible. And Zay was like, I mean, just go take another test. Yeah. That makes sense. They're 99% accurate. Just go get some more tests. And of course, the next 2 were positive, just like the first one. And we just kept being like, fuck. But also like, yeah, you know, like, and you said it. And I think it's like, encapsulates the feeling perfectly. You're like, I just feel even more focused now, you know?
Yeah,
like
you have to be.
Yeah, you have to be. Like, we already know how big of a responsibility it is.
One is, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like now it's like, I mean, of course we're a family now, but you have 2 kids. You feel like, wow, I'm really building this little, like.
Totally.
Yeah, I don't know.
The 1 to 2, like, it
We're
was like,
family of
oh, yeah, we
3
have
right
a kid, and
now.
now we're like, oh, we're parents.
Yeah,
like,
you're one-on-one.
Yeah, it feels.
And our crew here is
different.
going to be 8.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's cool because our first are
3
almost
months apart.
4 months
Yeah.
apart.
Yeah.
And our seconds will be 7 months apart. And
we have to move closer to each other.
Right now we live an
soon.
hour away, which isn't technically that long, but when you have little babies, it
In
is
the car.
long.
Who hate the car.
Who hate the car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's definitely a dream where we like live on one property and we have multiple houses and barefoot and all the kids running around and doing all the crazy things, chasing chickens. Yeah. It could
Dream
like
life.
very realistically
Striper
happen
truck
at
parked
some
on the
point.
side.
Exactly.
Yeah.
3 of them. 3 of
Little
them.
podcast studio in the barn.
I may have to start driving a striper truck pretty soon. So.
You want to stripe so bad,
I think
and
I would
want
love
you to
it,
stripe
honestly.
so bad.
I think I would love it.
Yeah.
Those like that like line work specifically is something that I get off on.
Yeah,
Just
totally.
Satisfying.
Yeah,
It's like in tandem with power washing.
totally, totally.
And
Yeah,
we had
that
to get
immediate gratification of a clean line. Oh,
Yes.
I love it.
What's better than that?
I love it. I feel like y'all just need to be regulars on this show.
Happy to be.
Like I think we just like
Especially as we continue to explore parenthood. We just have a lot of I think it's rare to find people that you move together with in your life.
in
path.
life. Yeah.
And we have done that in some really big ways. And
Yeah.
specifically like moving, across the country to the same spot. Not across the country, down
Choosing
the
to have
country.
home births, I think like that as
Yeah.
well.
Well, that was the first love language really
Yeah.
between all of us.
And then to have such mirror in our parenting styles and philosophies and the things that, it's really nice to have someone to be able to bounce that off of.
For sure.
Yeah.
This is a question for both of you. What is something about life before being a parent that you miss sometimes?
I know mine.
Well, I'll let you go first then.
I like just the running list in my head, like the pre-think all the time. And sometimes that can feel very like overwhelming.
Yeah.
And I think that's actually gotten a lot better since we've moved, because when we were back in Jersey City, I was very much stay-at-home mom, and Zay, like we talked about, was going into an office 5 days a week. So like the running of the household felt very much like my job, and like Rex really felt like my job.
Yeah.
But now that Zay's home, we've split that load a little bit, and that's been really nice.
Splitting all the loads over here.
Yeah.
I thought for sure your answer was going to be about sex.
Oh, well, we won't even get into that right now, but our living situation is,
It's just harder to have sex with your partner once you have a Velcro baby.
We'll save that for the bonus
Not
episode.
even the Velcro. Not even Velcro. It's like, let's be honest. It's the co-sleeping.
Yeah,
It's the co-sleeping.
It's them in our bedroom.
Yeah.
You just have to get creative. And like, honestly, sometimes you don't like want to be creative. Like
You're
to
exhausted,
us, like
yeah.
crazy sex is missionary on a bed.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you have no
Now,
idea
yeah.
where we've had
Yeah.
sex. Like, insane.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's so true. We are like, we've been holding off on having sex right now because we know it'll induce labor. So we're like, when are we going to decide
We're so
to
scared
actually
if we
start
have
having
sex, I'm going
sex
to go
right
into
now?
labor.
We're like,
I think you should have sex today so we can be here for the baby.
Oh my gosh.
We wanna make it to
We're
39
not ready
weeks.
yet.
We
I
wanna
don't
make it to
know.
39
We just talked
weeks.
about this in our last episode that we're just we need a little more time.
Okay.
we need a few
I'm
more
so
days.
over being pregnant, but
Zay.
I'm kind of surprised that you're saying that.
I'm just like sweating my ass off. But you're gonna feel this soon.
Wait, Zay, what's
As
your
you
answer
get
though
scared.
to that
Oh, yeah.
question?
Thought we were talking about sex. It was before. What do I miss about
Life before.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's like you're just not. It's a two-edged type of thing. You're just not tied so much concretely to time, to like your environment and all this stuff. And it, there's like a little bit of like liberty that you feel with that.
Yeah.
But like on the other end, like there's a lot to be said for having like a real true investment in your time. I mean, like I look back now, I'm like, what were we doing with
What
all
were
our
we
fucking
doing?
free time?
Every day, how did we fill those hours?
Yeah.
I just worked more.
Yeah, that's
I
totally
mean,
what
I
it
did
is.
too. Yeah.
I mean,
And
maybe,
then now
but
I look back, I'm like, oh, that was stupid.
But I feel like you get more efficient.
Yeah.
But like
Yeah.
you just care more.
Yeah.
Right.
You're
Yeah,
just
there's purpose for
so much more
everything.
invested in what you do. Yeah. And so it's like cool to think back on like, oh, that was like so free and stuff like that. But at the other end of it, like the other side of it is like it's not nearly as free, but there's so much more at stake, and that matters more too.
And it's a phase of life. I feel like we've been talking about this a lot recently.
Yeah.
Like, the day that we took the test, I was like, I'm really excited. There's one thing I'm really sad about, and it's like my body hasn't been my own for like 2 years, and it's not going to be my own for much longer, or a lot more time, and that makes me kind of sad. Like for example, I have not left Rex like for a night, ever. I'm going to soon, but like it's that freedom, of like, oh, let me just like book a bachelorette trip with my girlfriends and like go drink at a hotel pool and whatever, and like that, I do miss that sometimes, but like I have like equal feelings of like, what a privilege that like this like decade or so of my life, I get to like give my kids my body in more ways than one, like carry them, nurse them, hold them, like, and like on the way up, Zay was saying he had gone to this event last night, Fourth Business, and he was like, it was really cool. Like there's a bunch of 50-year-olds there, and you could tell they had like high school kids at home, and they were just out having a good time.
Right.
Yeah.
And he was like, hey, that's gonna be us.
Yeah.
And it's like, you think about like retirement, which seems like so much further away, but like in a very short amount of time,
it's not long.
relatively, our kids are gonna be able to take care of themselves and put themselves to bed.
Very soon.
And like this time of giving ourselves up and giving up that liberty it's not that long. So it's just like a phase.
Really well said.
Sometimes it sucks though.
Yeah, I felt like that when when Brian and Janet came into town, and their kids are older.
Teenagers,
and I just love how they've transitioned through different life phases.
Yeah.
And I wish, I know we're almost done here, but I was thinking about that. I booked a trip, my first and only trip away from Kilmer. I booked at 20 weeks pregnant, and I went to New York, maybe 24 weeks pregnant. And it was weird. And
that first night is so weird.
It's so weird. And also cool. Like I was like enjoying, like just going to a coffee shop, going to my favorite place, not running through the list, like just grabbing sunglasses and walking out of the house. But I was 24. And the reason I was able to go is because I got pregnant and then started working to wean, right? We're both have been breastfeeding. And so she was weaned so I could go, but then I also like couldn't have a cocktail because I was pregnant. Like it was still, my body was still somewhere else.
Yeah.
And that'll shift. I think I need a little bit more time before this pregnancy and the next pregnancy.
You're gonna wait for
weeks,
the next
baby.
one?
Weeks.
You're going first next time.
Okay, you might be waiting a little longer.
We're not waiting 7 months. What are you, crazy?
No, she's going first for her third, I'm saying.
Yeah, and I'm saying no.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I don't think time is on my side.
Nico. You're going to get canceled for that one.
Okay, a few more things, and then let's get out of here and go to a bonus episode.
Yeah, I have to pee.
Y'all are both creators. You both are very smart, and you both like journal your lives in such beautiful ways. Where you both love a Substack. Where can people find more of your words? I mean, you've journaled so much over these last few months about this transition. He's such an incredible writer, and there's pieces that exist online. Where can people find you?
I launched a Substack to catalog the journey. It's called Freedom is Something You Take. Name comes from an art piece from an artist who Taylor will remind me of.
James Vittore,
that we have on our wall. I've always just loved. But come out with weekly pieces, and people have liked it.
Like and subscribe.
And subscribe.
Yeah, no, Zay's a great writer. I mean, it's incredible.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. And then, I started a like motherhood blog, for lack of a better term, just a place for me to like figure out my new identity. And that's chaotic.com. Everything is linked on my page. The Striper, my blog.
That's on chaotic.com?
Yeah.
Can you spell chaotic.com for us?
Chayotic.
There it is. There it is.
We'll link it.
Yeah, we'll link it all here.
My favorite thing. We'll link it in the show notes.
We'll link it. We're going to put it in the show notes.
Yeah.
And y'all get used to these people because we're going to have you back because you can't get rid of us now at this point. It's official. Thank you for coming on today.
Thank you for
Wait, hold on. One more thing. I want both of you to answer this separately. Blank is full of shift.
No, you go first.
Rex, our son.
Yes.
Yeah, the ultimate shifter. Like seriously, like the ultimate Gemini. I'm gonna say identity.
Yeah. Love it.
Yeah.
All right, get the fuck out of here. We'll see you guys next time. My name is Nico Tortorella.
Bethany C. Myers.
Isaiah Baker.
Taylor Baker.
And this is Full of Shift.
Bye.
Go over to Patreon. We're going to talk some more shift. Love you. Bye. Are you got to pee?
That was great. Yeah, I got to pee really bad.
Nico and Bethany are full of shift.
Nico and Bethany are full of shit.
Nico and Bethany are full of shift.
Nico and Bethany are full of shit. Nico and Bethany are full of shit.
Nico and Bethany are full of shift.
Nico and Bethany are full of shit.
Nico and Bethany are full of shift.